NFL Combine is next week in Indianapolis, and Travis Hunter tops Ryan Wilson's big board. Hunter deciding to go into the Combine as a defensive back. You can't pick two different positions. Like, you can't go in and do cornerback and wide receiver stuff. But many believe that he could play both sides of the ball in the NFL, and that teams are valuing him more because they could get a defensive back and a wide receiver out of one guy. He did it at Colorado, but the Big 12 was a little bit different than the NFL. Let's get Pete and Danny back in here. And I know Pete's take on this because he was telling anyone and everyone who could hear it in the newsroom upstairs that he does not believe that you can be a real two-way player in the NFL. Why is that?
I think it's too taxing on your body. I just think it's too much. And if you're going to play cornerback, you're running on every play. And now you're going to go play wide receiver. I think you can spot him in. He's a cornerback in my mind. I think there's more value at that position. Although receiver has kind of caught up in some form and fashion. A lot of people now think it's it used to be the four-pronged approach to winning: the corner, the quarterback, the left tackle, and the pass rusher. But now you got to have a receiver too. So the value has gone up. But I think he's a cornerback. I think most of the guys I talk to in the league think he's a cornerback, and he's going to be a really good corner. But you can spot him in and use him in some gimmicks. Remember, Deion Sanders played some offense when he was in the NFL, and you can use him in that way, but not a full-time guy. I think he's got to be a part-time guy.
I think he can do both. I wouldn't say full-time both, but I would go more than just like small situations like Deion did. Deion, they probably had like 5 plays drawn up for Deion to run a post or a reverse, and it was kind of trick plays. There's a couple things about Travis Hunter. One, he averaged 114 plays a game in college.
He's a kid now, though.
He is a kid. And granted, I'm not saying he's going to do this when he's 38, but I think for the first few years, when you have him on his rookie deal and he is young and fresh, you can do it. I think today's NFL is softer. I don't think you have to worry as much about the physical taxation from a hitting standpoint. So then it becomes more of a cardiovascular, issue. And you said running every play. He's been doing that. So I think he can handle that workload. I agree with you. I think tall, lanky corners are more valuable. You can find a lot of guys who are 5'10" who can play DB, not ones that's long and as tall as Travis Hunter. But I think you can find value in him learning a playbook. That's the thing that I think is so hard at the NFL, where I'm not so worried about the physical aspect. It's the mental workload, which he had full access to the playbook at Colorado, both sides of the ball. I think he can handle that capability too, which makes it even more impressive.
But the season's so much longer.
That's what I was going to say. Is it worth it to be a two-way star?
We're not just talking about the games. We're talking about you have the preseason, you have the training camp. It's a much longer process. And we always hear about the rookies hitting the wall in week 10.
Yep.
So if you're going to be trying to double him up, when does he hit the wall? In week 6? I mean, to me, I think he's a corner. And if you want to use him on some plays on offense, that's fine. Create a couple plays for him.
If
use
he's
him like
your
Deion.
4th wide receiver in a 4 wide receiver package, like where he gets some significant snaps, but not just in the red zone or just in certain situations, I think he can handle that. Again, I think it's a cheat code because you have a 53-man roster. You can only carry so many corners and so many wide receivers. When you have him counting on both sides, that is an advantage that I think teams would find value in.
See, I don't think they're going to count him as a wide receiver. I just don't think you have that luxury. He's not going to play enough snaps to count him as a wide receiver.
Is he a good enough wide receiver to have that be standing out on his own, you think?
If he was just a wide receiver and did not play corner, he would be a first-round wide receiver.
Okay.
But he's a better corner than he is
I agree.
receiver.
And I think his skill set is harder to find. He's more unique as a corner than he is as a wide receiver.
All right. Well, obviously, have to see if it all works out for him. I kind of hope that he can at least do it, to your point, Danny.
It would be fun.
Just to see it, just for a year. All right, we'll have to hit another break here on
would we
CBS
take him
Sports
over
HQ.
Jalen Hurts?
You opening a can of worms. I don't know, actually. That's a good question. Maybe we'll talk about it in the break. Here's a look at the upcoming NFL offseason schedule. We talked about the Combine. It is coming up next week. Our guys Danny and Pete will be out at the Combine doing some interviews and stuff for us. The franchise tag window closing there pretty soon as we count down to the beginning of offseason workouts in April.